really get real funky tonight. Because if you worshiping a jealous God, you in trouble. Now, we'll go into some things in a few minutes. So, all right. We'll deal with this in a minute. So, let me do one thing. You got the camera set? Okay, now let me go pay the water bill. While they're doing that, I can just go ahead and start. And, you know, you have to get out of what is called moral dogma. Moral dogma was sent when human history was over to teach a savage people how to behave through moral dogma. That has nothing to do with you. God couldn't give a doggone whether you stood butt naked and farted all over the doggone underground of Atlanta. You got to think on a high level. That's the problem. You too stuck in tradition and moral dogma, and you good people, but you good dead people. You see what I'm saying? You people get sick, you don't know what in the hell to do. Still sending them to these damn doctors, and the doctors giving them up for dead. You see what I'm saying? Anything that comes down to your livelihood or anything that comes down to your well-being, you can't do nothing. But yet you just as religious as you can be. You understand? And that's the problem. Religion had killed thousands of you. You see, you talking about crack. Try getting off some damn gospel. Although, now, I'm anti-organized, male, chauvinist religion, not necessarily anti-scripture. There's a difference. You don't need no idiot standing up in no church hollering at you going 4 years into the so-called white man's millennium, or just for the sake of argument, because this is the year 2000, 2001. You don't know hell. It could be 2005. But I'm trying to say you don't need no fool hollering at you for inspiration. That's the problem. You got too much inspiration. You're not learning anything because inspiration, that's just like a doggone drug. You understand what I'm saying? That's inspiration is no more than a crack cocaine or something to get you pumped up. You understand? But you can't apply that at all when it comes to these particular reverends and all this thing hollering in your doggone ear. So it's the difference between going to your scriptures, your Quran, your Bible, and letting the Spirit jump out at you and you turning stuff around than to let an idiot teach you about the scriptures. That's the problem. The Freedmen's Bureau is all government, organized religion that's used to hold you down. Bottom line. That's why you can have 140 years of these of so-called churches, and we pray more than anybody. How the hell we gonna pray more than anybody in the world, but yet we catching more hell? That lets you know that something has failed us. You out Pope the Pope, out Muhammad, Muhammad, out Judah, out Jesus, Jesus, out Buddha, Buddha, out Krishna, Krishna, out Yahweh, Yahweh, but yet you always at the bottom of the doggone Pope. You see what I'm saying? Now, obviously, study to know thyself approved, and people shall pass from a lack of knowledge. You understand what I'm saying? So that means you got these idiots that so-called teaching you that was trained by the Freedmen's Bureau to interpretate the scriptures on a Eurocentric mentality, and therefore you are 140 years into this doggone thing, as far as we say 140 years into this particular thing when around the Reconstruction time when they set up the black colleges and the black churches, and now what? You still around here surfing and still begging the cracker. You understand? So now, I think if there's no way you can stand up here and tell me that your thing is doing it for black people. Or my Christian religion is doing it for black people. If you can say that, then hell, I'll bow down to you because I got a thing to learn. Correct me if I'm wrong. Check? Okay. Okay, what is this? What is this orange stuff? No, it looks pretty good. What is this?
This is a container sand. It's water.
Okay, okay. That's cool. That's cool. Okay now. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We need to pull one of these out so I can pull some in. I only need this much here. We can deal with that. Should we go through the ritual now to open up the third eye now? Okay, we'll do that. This is an Egyptian ritual. For those people that think you're going to hell and think it's just some satanic stuff or your own ancestor stuff, and you scared of your ancestors, just close your eyes and say, Lord, I'm not a part of this. So we'll deal with this. That's all you got to do. Just go home and take a fast and get in the Bible and drop down on your knees and say, Lord, I repent from being, you know what I'm saying? But you in more evil stuff every day for turning on the TV set or going to the jobs, the same jobs that you work for, is doggone colonizing sections of the world and killing your people wholesale. You see what I'm saying? But you can't, but you knock down the door to get up in there. You see, so, for those people who don't want to do that, we'll go through this little Egyptian master ritual, which is a ritual, which is a fragment of a ritual. It's coming out of a book called The Complete Magical Primer by David Conway. It's the same guy that wrote this Moon Magic. I don't know if the book is still in print, but what I can do is, it's only like 4 or 5 pages. I can just Xerox it and, you know, we'll get it out there. It's only like 4 or 5 pages for a book. You know, I don't know if it's still in print, but the actual, we'll do that too. It's called The Consecration of the Circle. Now, the circle is also dealing with, when you see a picture of a circle and a point, they'll tell you that it means spirit. Anytime you see the circle in this point, they'll tell you that it means spirit. The circle in the point means, see, it means the third eye, but it also, I just want to put this up to show, put it on camera so the people can see it. It means, let's see if I can find this thing. Hell, I might just take a circle and make a point. But there's one in this book. There's one in this book. Anytime you see a circle, and in the middle you see a point, sometimes it's clear and you see the point. Anytime you see that, here it is, here it is. Anytime you see this, this is inside of you. The black dot, which is inside of you, and this point is your aura, which is your crown chakra that radiates. So anytime you see this circle with this point, that's what it's dealing with here. So now this ritual we'll do is literally, it's nothing about you, it's literally giving you energy in your divine vessel. You know, where you literally are speaking to the inside of you. Is it not written in the law that ye are gods, John chapter 10, verse 34, 35, 34 to 36, okay? So let's deal with the ancestors. We'll go across the board from, and let's just put some energy up in here. Okay, you know the drill. Awas, Ashe. Al-Sut, Ashe. Mamu, Ashe. Astal, Ashe. Michael, Ashe. Haniel, Ashe. Bubiel, Ashe. Lasmiel, Ashe. Oh boy, this stuff is getting all over. And this, I guess I just have to kneel down here. Okay, Melchizedek, Ashe. Sutek, Ashe. Uncle Kansu, Ashe. Osea, Ashe. Aset, Ashe. Heru, Ashe. Nakumpa, Ashe. Umbelinga, Ashe. Ososi, Ashe. Olarun, Ashe. Olakun, Ashe. Ife, Ashe. Abatala, Ashe. Oshun, Ashe. Agun, Ashe. Legba, Ashe. Iminja, Ashe. Arya, Ashe. Rishi Oku, Ashe. Shenga, Ashengo, Ashe. Edoedo, Ashe. Zaka, Ashe. Lafi, Ashe. Arumasha, Ashe. Kutumi, Ashe. Segment, Ashe. Seshet, Ashe. Newt, Ashe. Ampit, Ashe. Heheru, Ashe. Anhar, Ashe. Har-ur, Ashe. Raheru Kahudi, Ashe. Osea Kentiamenti, Ashe. Kunsu, Ashe. Sutnuvit, Ashe. Sutnesi, Ashe. Lakshmi, Ashe. Jinsea, Ashe. Dambawalawedo, Ashe. Marasha, Ashe. Baphomet, Ashe. Kutumi, Ashe. Sanat Kumara, Ashe. Inanna, Ashe. That's Shetu, Ashe. Ishtar, Ashe. After-Earth, Ashe. Pan, Ashe. Het-Hurt, Ashe. Harsefu, Ashe. Harsefi, Ashe. Mut, Ashe. Mayat, Ashe. Meskinit, Ashe. Nanet, Ashe. Mont, Ashe. Nethris, Ashe. Nerthrin, Ashe. Nanu, Ashe. Heket, Ashe. Peket, Ashe. Sasher, Ashe. Atum, Ashe. Aton, Ashe. Atan, Ashe. Atan Ra, Ashe. Medra Atan, Ashe. Metatron, Ashe. Okay. Buddha, Ashe. Krishna, Ashe. Lakshmi, Ashe. Da, Ashe. Shakma, Ashe. Bina, Ashe. Tiferet, Ashe. Naksha, Ashe. Malkut, Ashe. Ain, Ashe. Ain Sa'ar, I see. To all gods known and unknown. I see. To all ancestors known and unknown. I see. Okay. We got that going on. So, all right. So now you repeat after me for the people that want to stand. Okay, we do it this way. For the people that's all scared and think you're going to hell and you live in hell, then you don't have to stand. That's cool. That way we don't have to convert nobody because we're not doing that. We just bringing some stuff here and all. But I challenge you, what in the hell can happen to you that ain't already happened to you? Already. You see what I'm saying? And don't tell me to get to die, because to die is to live, because this is death and the other side is life. And the problem is you haven't understood the mysteries of death, and that's why you can't get nowhere. You scared of dying. It's almost like to say everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody want to die. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so for the people you can stand, for the people that want to get this concentration of the circle, which is actually talking about wakening up your third eye or whatever, or bringing that particular energy. And for the people that don't, you don't have to. So you repeat after me. Let the shining ones not have, no, excuse me, hold on. Okay. Let the shining ones not have power over me.
Let the shining ones not have power over me.
I have purified myself and my heart is filled with joy.
I have purified myself and my heart is filled with joy.
Having anointed myself with unguents, I have made myself strong.
Having anointed myself with unguents, I have made myself strong.
I bring to you perfume and incense, O glorious one.
I bring to you perfume and incense, O glorious one.
Let me place this incense on the fire as homage to thee.
Let me place this incense on fire as homage to thee.
All homage to Tefnut.
All homage to Tefnut.
All homage to Gel.
All homage to Gel.
All homage to Atum.
All homage to Atum.
All homage to Shu.
All homage to Shu.
Okay, so Tefnut is water, Gel is earth, Atum is fire, and Shu is air, which means that's all the energy which is inside of your body. Always take things and bring it inwardly. That's where the heaven is. Then we're going to say this 12 times. I supplicate the Kintu Amintu.
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 And by the way, that Kintu Amintu means the deepest part of your subconscious. Within the Christian, they call it the Holy Spirit. Being anointed with the Holy Spirit. Just depends on how much knowledge you know. Okay. Ra, I adore thee.
Ra, I adore thee.
Hail to Aset.
Hail to Aset.
All homage to Tahuti.
All homage to Tahuti.
I adore God, Lord of heaven.
I adore God, Lord of heaven.
Lord of earth, King of righteousness.
Lord of earth, King of righteousness.
Lord of eternity, Prince of everlasting life.
Lord of eternity, Prince of everlasting life.
God of life, builder of eternity.
God of life, builder of eternity.
Hail Kopri.
Hail Kopri.
Who now approaches in divine splendor.
Who now approaches in divine splendor.
Hail Ra, Lord of rays.
Hail Ra, Lord of rays.
Thou art God of life, Lord of love.
Thou art God of life, Lord of love.
When thou shinest.
When thou shinest.
Hail Temu.
Hail Temu.
Temu is another name for melanin. Okay. Thou givest the splendor in heaven.
Thou givest the splendor in heaven.
As a phoenix going forth.
As a phoenix going forth.
I have made offerings to the God, and I have sacrificed to the shining ones.
I have made offerings to God, and I have sacrificed to the shining ones.
I show my mastery over all things.
I show my mastery over all things.
With this knife I become one with the Lord of light.
With this knife I become one with the Lord of light.
O Eye of Heru, grant unto me the secret longings of my heart.
O Eye of Heru, grant to me the secret longings of my heart.
Swift of that light, O shining ones, return now.
Swift of the light, O shining ones, return now.
I have walked beside the great ones, and I have passed close to, no, excuse me, I have walked beside the great ones. Put that
I have walked beside the great ones.
Just as they have passed close to God who is mighty and resplendent.
Just as they have passed along God who is mighty and resplendent.
Is the sum total of all things.
Is the sum total of all things.
My phallus is that of Amsu.
My phallus is that of Amsu.
My flesh is that of Net.
My flesh is that of Net.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. Okay. Now, y'all can sit on down. Now, let me explain this. Because the last thing was, my phallus is that of Amsu. Your phallus is your penis, but they're not. But the key is this. Now, in the Hebrew doctrines, they tell you that no one can enter the kingdom and not unless you are circumcised. They're talking about so-called male. They say that a child is supposed to be circumcised no later than 8 days because it represents the 8th level, which the 7th level is dealing with stuff on a physical spirit, and the 8th level is dealing with things on the spirit. Now listen to this. This is the key. Well, if the 8th level is talking about circumcision, what does that have to do with women? It doesn't have anything to do. Obviously, you can be a grown man and can go to the doctor and get circumcised. Anybody can be circumcised. But the key is you have two penises. You have the penis that is down here, that the man uses to procreate, and everybody has another penis, which is a second penis, which is the pineal gland or the pineal gland. So they say being circumcised, they're talking about an uncircumcised pineal gland. Is a calcified pineal gland. You born with a circumcised pineal gland because your third eye works, or your black dot or your melanin operates. So the uncircumcision that they're talking about is an uncircumcised pineal gland that is dealing with the Europeans with a calcified pineal gland. You see what the deal is? And that's the mystery of circumcision, and it's not necessarily physical, although the cultural ramifications came in later. But it was always metaphysical at first. You see, the second penis. And so your vagina in that particular region is the pituitary gland, which represents Isis or Aset, and the pineal gland, which represents Heru, which is all in both male and female. What's that?
You just answered.
Okay. That's so that your vagina is the pituitary gland, which is Aset, that massages or gives birth to the pineal gland. Check. All right. I just wanted to put that out there. That's something you ought to know, that they're talking, when they talk about circumcision, and they talk about the ones who are circumcised, because circumcision was a culture throughout African culture. The Egyptians, the Canaanites, the Ethiopians, the whole 9 yards. The Hebrews, which is greater northern Ethiopians, the whole 9 yards. But they was talking, why did they put such importance on it? Because they was talking about circumcised pineal glands. You see what I'm saying? Which is important because even when you have certain Europeans that have I think it's 15% European that have melanin. That's not a European, that's just a black person. Because don't make a difference if you damn near white. We talking about an inward thing and they ain't necessarily talking about an outward thing. You see what I'm saying? So you got 15% European that's not even European, they're black. You see, you got whole groups in Scotland, the Pharaohs of Scotland. You see, that's that whole thing and the Pharaohs of Ireland. Good movie to go see is a movie called The Secrets of Rowan-ish. Talk about the black Irish. When you see it, they're going to talk about the darkies that came from seals. The seals, when they show you the seals are representing black people when you see the movie. The Secrets of Rowan-ish came out last year. You see, Rowan-ish, The Secrets of Rowan-ish is talking about the black element from Scotland. No, excuse me, from Ireland. And they talk about when you got this seal skin, you can have this seal for life, which means that you can get this black woman's skin. But they showed these black people in Ireland, it was white people, but they had real dark features. They said, oh, you're a darky. That's that element in Ireland. So that whole thing of St. Patrick's Day, he running the snakes out of Ireland. How can you run snakes out of some damn place? That's talking about the snake people or that Canaanite or that Egyptian element in Ireland, the Pharaohs of Scotland, the Druids, the Celtics, all of that. When the Moors came and set up Camelot, which King Arthur. Camelot means the black light. It meant the European Egypt. Cam, which means Egypt. Camelot. You see what I'm saying? The Camelot, which means that Camelot, which means black lot of Europe. And they worship the Holy Grail that is dealing with the black dot, the cup of the Holy Blood, Holy Grail. In the blood is the blood of kings and queens, in the blood of Christ. And Christ is the anointed one, which Christ comes from Christos, and anointed ones come from the anointed oil, the olive oil and the black oil, which the black oil has, which the black olive and a green olive. Both of them have melanin. You have the green. Melanin is in all your plant life. Melanin is also in the black olive, which is talking about the Mount of Olives or the anointed one. This means black people. Christ means you. He's the anointed one. We're anointed with what? Anointed with the oil. Oil, the original oil is crude oil, which has carbon. You bet somebody give me some water so I spit up the place whenever you get a chance. Which has carbon, and carbon means melanin. Check. So Camelot and all that was set up by the Moors. They'll tell you the Sufis set it up. Sufi is another word that means wool. Woolly head, Sufi, which means Moors. So the white boys will give you a jump and they'll tell you all this Sufism, which means the Moors. One of the best books on that, you get a lot of Sufi books there, they have a lot of more of an inspirational and poetic. That's because the Sufis won't give out the real stuff. But you want to get a real book on Sufism, you get the book The People of the Secret. People with the Secret, or People of the Secret by Ernest Scott. People of the Secret by Ernest Scott. That's the one. You see. And they talk about the wooden ones, the Sufi, the Moors, that set up that whole thing in Europe. Check. All right. Yeah, we do that. Okay. All right. Now, let's deal with some things on the hard copy, where we do the hard copy at first. You know, that's what's happening. First of all, we'll go deep into this and all. Since the 1940s, Hitler's goal was to make a master race, which the Pleiadians gave them the element and gave them the information, or gave them the knowledge of cloning. And since then, they have been cloning people, but they learned how to clone black people in 1983 after the Atlanta child murders. They learned how to clone, and a clone is a robot that's identical. Now, there's two kinds of clones. Most of the black people are cloned by walk-ins. It's a spirit just come in and walk in your body. Although you're still living, they give you their thoughts and make you think that they're your own. You see what I'm saying? Make you think that they're your own. Now, you've had carjackings in the last week. The carjackings is nothing but a government setup where they have these clones that is also being controlled by a satellite that just randomly just cut on and go and just kill up people. They had a whole group of that going on in Washington, D.C. Remember that? Going on in Washington, D.C. Now they had the same thing here, all to try to make this the #1 murder capital of the United States. Now, you got to be an idiot to think that Atlanta, Georgia is the #1 murder capital. Hell, I live on Cascade. I live on Cascade, and I live up near the Croker area, and I walk the streets night and day, and I'm still looking for this doggone war zone that they're talking about. It's all propaganda. See, the key is to take incidents and put them all on the news. And hell, if you got a city with damn near millions of people in this city, and they go and take isolated incidents and pile them all up on one news segment, you would think there's a lot of crime going on too. You see? But based on the per capita of all the people that's here, if it was a crime, if it was a real crime, they would have to have 2 or 3 hours with just nothing of crime. But they showing you 1, 2 isolated incidents. And you thinking that if the streets ain't safe. All propaganda. You live here. I've been here since I've been here 10 years. And I'm yet to see a mass gang warfare like the Crips and the Bloods. I don't see this thing. I don't see these gangs, but they saying there's so many thousands of gangs operating in Atlanta. But they can come on TV and lie to you, and you believe all this stuff. So they got this whole clone thing going on where they can just tap in and they can randomly come and just shoot up the place. You know it's got to be. Now, wait a minute. Now, let's look at this. One man goes and steals a car. You see what I'm saying? And comes back, a couple hours later and steal another car and he killed both people. Most people will give you their damn car if you put a gun in their face. Why you gotta shoot them in the head? You see what I'm saying? Then the next day it's the same thing. And if you notice, it always goes, the murders go down in spurts. Right before Christmas, 4 or 5 babies got killed in a row. You see what I'm saying? Or this man killed, and it's always, you know, the mama working late, she leave the boyfriend home, and the boyfriend killed the baby. But the key is, you know, it's programmed because it happens in spurts. They had like 3 or 4 babies that got killed in 2 days. You got to understand that news is big business. When you think of Atlanta, first of all, everything that you think of is based on your TV set. That's what gives you your mind. You see? And when you think of Atlanta, you think of your newsrooms. Channel 2, Monica Kaufman, you know, dependable, reliable, you understand what I'm saying? You know, one girl say, well, they got to know Atlanta. I like to vote the local news and the national news, because if they know Atlanta, they know me. What the hell are you talking about, Negro? You seen this stuff. Anyway, this news and all is programmed, and everybody watches the news, so whatever they come on the news and tell you, you believe it. 98% of everything on that news is choreographed. It ain't even real. It's straight up lies. Even the doggone newscasters are robots too. The key is they can manufacture crime by this whole robot thing. We won't get into it tonight. They can manufacture this thing, but see, how they feed it to you with a grain of salt, or how they feed it to you with a doggone teaspoon, is they give you black people reporting it to you. You say, well, it can't be all that bad, because if the white man was coming up and tell you, oh, them niggas ain't nothing, you say, hey, something's going on here. But they give you black people reporting it to you, and if you notice, you know they got to be robots. They don't never show any emotion at all. All these black people dying, same thing, they're still smiling. Pick up somebody that's got their head blown off, but these niggas is happy because the Olympics is coming. Oh, we got 38 days, 138 days. That's all choreographed. That's all choreographed. You see what I'm saying? That's all a part of it. Now, okay, came and told people, told them a couple of years, I told them in 94. I say, look, don't sign your name, look. Whatever the hand that the cracker dealt you, that's the hand you play. All this getting out from under the government with all the CMOs and all that stuff, okay, well, let's see this. Let's backtrack. This patriot movement came in, they set up in Atlanta. They got everybody going to the CMO stuff, and they trying to, we don't want to do with the license tags and all of that. Now they got this so-called Freeman's group held up, where's the hell up at, in Iowa somewhere? Yeah. Montana. NBC News, they said, well, what do these Freemans do? NBC News broke it down. They said they deal with stuff called CMOs, cash money orders. They work out of a book called a Uniform Commercial Code. They get rid of their license tags, and they don't pay no taxes and all of this stuff here. I'm saying, but damn, that's almost like deja vu. You see, the object is, see, first of all, that is the doggone Illuminati, or the government, or these secret societies that's running that. And what they do is they take black militant groups and they come to them and say, look, you can get from up under the government and all. And now, since when the hell a white man gonna come to you and tell you he gonna help you out and you can get from up under the government, but everybody around you dying. And they take black militant groups and white supremacist groups, and they set them up with all of this particular stuff. So when they want to come in and start talking about terrorism and anti-government people, they target your groups. And that's all a part of the Illuminati. And that's what happened right here in Atlanta, out of black media and that whole thing, because I was all a part of that whole get up. And that's what happened. They stepped to the brothers, told them they can get no taxes, none of this, and you can get your house back and all that crazy stuff. And then you look, now how in the hell they gonna tell you, tell you this in the black community, you can do this, and right across town, the white supremacists is doing the same thing. You catch my drift. That's all government control. All government control. This whole thing about the 49 churches since 1989 that they bombed. That's all set up by the government. They got to make news because they're trying to make this thing out of the #1 capital of murder. So they can start some stuff during the Olympics or whatever with this terrorism type thing. See what I'm saying? With this terrorism type thing. Real key. Real key. Well, let's see some things that's going on. It's dealing with in the apocalypse. You got this cattle disease in England. In Britain. Somebody give me some paper towel also too. I always mess up. I say it's cold. I'll wear this turtleneck. Like a fool. Dang. And you know they got this cow disease and all of this. Now, that's what's going on also in the world. Now listen. The churches is under the 501c3 tax exempt law. That's all black churches under the 501c3 tax exempt law. That's the law now, 501c3 tax exempt. That is they got me some honey too, that's cool. What that is if your church is up under this, and most churches are tax exempt non-profit organization, that means if you say anything that is not in the bylaws of what they call religion, that means if you try to tell a brother, hey man, they're killing us wholesale. Anything that you say outside of preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ or whatever, they are obligated, they can come in and shut you down and to put your church up for auctions. And that's why you doggone 140 years in the religion and you ain't got nothing but the same old jumping up and down, acting like fools up in a Sunday morning disco. And even some people say, no, I work with the church, and that's not necessarily true. No. You don't know the upper echelons of this thing, and even some of the churches that don't know, it's because they so backwoods until they never thought about teaching the people anything of some greater knowledge, so the man ain't never worked with them. But try it one time. I remember back in the 50s in Mullins, South Carolina. My mother told me about this. She said in the 50s, in the first stages of the civil rights movement. Now, first of all, you had two civil rights movements. The first one was started by Adam Clayton Powell in Harlem. But the white boys said, we got to stop that one. So they took the flavor of what that was going and took it to the Southern Baptists and put the #1 agent up in there, Martin Luther King, who got all his stuff, was working for the Jews and Illuminati, Goulet, and got you into all this doggone madness to this day. Man, come and kill up your children. You talking about nonviolence. So they sabotaged one with the Spin Guard brothers with the whole Jewish thing, was behind all of that, because they have to sabotage it to break Marcus Garvey movement, Noble Drew Raleigh, and Elijah Muhammad, to give you the false so-called Messiah. And as a result, one of the most racist presidents in world history gave him a holiday in 1986. Ronald Reagan. Come on, man. Cracker talking about cutting out welfare, but they're gonna give you his holiday. And on his day, who's up in the church with all kind of the same dignitaries and Illuminati people? Check. That's because he was a double agent. You can take it or let it alone. Until he tried to backtrack on that thing in the 1968 talking that war stuff, and they put the pipe to his head and blew him on out of here. You see what I'm saying? But also, they bust up in there. They show Coretta Scott King and them some pictures of him with some white women, screwing some white women. They say, all right, we got these pictures. Now what you gonna do? You gonna have a court trial with James L. Ray, or are you gonna let this thing pass? And they said, we gonna let it pass. They bust up in there and showed them some pictures of some naked women, and that was his ass. That's what happened. You see what I'm saying? That's what happened. And she tried to go on a singing career in that bomb, and then she said, I'm going to become the professional widow, which is all government control now. And that's why they give you Martin Luther King. That's why every time you come up and try to make some sense, they throw this nigga up in your face, Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King, because that's one of their inventions, and he was their Messiah. Now, this particular law also says that if any black preacher goes deeper into teaching anything on Revelations to the congregation, you see, really it's no preaching. There's really no teaching. You get up there, you say about 10 minutes, and you start jumping up and down. That's it. Any in any continental or comprehensive study of Revelations, they can bust in your church and shut you down. That's why the black preachers don't teach it. They don't teach it because they don't teach nothing on the end time. If you notice, you turn on the radio, all the white people talking about this is the end. All the little white preachers. Why you don't see no black preachers? The black preachers talking about some social thing and how you be God's anointing in your life or some old idiotic stuff. The reason why you in hell because you don't worship the God. Now, ain't this the doggone trip? You see, but why is it it's two different teachers from the white preachers and the white preachers and the black? Because based on the 501c3 tax exempt law, which is actually government controlled, they can shut you down for teaching Revelation, as well as all your big churches got to open up with that American flag with the gold strip down the side, which is Illuminati. That whole key. That's because that's all controlled. So in the 50s, these people rolled in, and all these brothers and sisters did in the 50s, they just went to a meeting. They just went to a meeting. And after they got back from the meeting, the people rolled in on them, and those people that was teachers, most of them were school teachers, and they couldn't work in that county for almost 20 years. They had to go like 30 or 40 miles out just to teach school every day, for just going to a meeting. It's the same thing that they used to brand you a communist in Hollywood, in certain circles, and they would force you out. And based on this law, they can shut the black churches down because the black churches is an entity and property of the government. That's the reason why you go down and try to open up a bank, to open up a bubblegum shop, and you can't get no money, but a person can get millions of dollars to build a damn church. That's because it's all government. You see what I'm saying? And that's why, after 140 years of so-called Freedmen's Bureau, with your black colleges and the black churches, you still in all this mess that you got going on right now. But they can't teach no revelations or anything out. That means their charter and their bylaws say that they have to teach religion based on what fundamental black religion is. And anytime they go outside of that, anything political, anything like that, they can be shut down. Now you say that's not true because they spearheaded the civil rights movement in the 60s. No, they didn't spearhead no civil rights movement in the 60s. That was the white civil rights movement, and they gave them permission to go ahead. And they set all that stuff up. They set all that up. So that's what's going down right here. Now, let's see what's going on here. Black students. Since 1990, they've been killing black students on college campuses. And it goes in spurts. They might skip a year or so, and then it goes in spurts. All that's set up. And mainly it's in Atlanta area now. You don't hear the other black colleges getting killed like that. Before then, it was in D.C., all the stuff that was going down, because if they don't like a certain mayor, or they don't like a group of people, in this case, it's a group of people. But if they don't like a certain mayor or whatever type thing, they loved Andrew Young, ain't nothing went down back then. You see what I'm saying? But if they don't like a certain mayor or whatever, then they'll go ahead and unleash the dogs, and that's what happened with Marion Barry and that whole thing in Washington, D.C. also, too. All because Marion Barry refused to send the National Guard out to Harvard University in 1989 to, when the Lee Atwater thing, when they shut down the university in 1989, he refused to send the National Guard out there. Although they did do it, they sent the National Guard, I think, a year later. He didn't do it, but they sent the National Guard a year later at a homecoming. People just out there chilling. The National Guard came and started knocking heads. And he refused that, and that's when he really got on his bad side, and no more than a year later he was in jail. You see what I'm saying? Now, what happened here in Atlanta, Atlanta was cool until the students of the AU Center took over the buildings on Morris Brown campus, because I was a part of that thing. They took over the buildings of Morris Brown campus. And the next year, they took over the buildings on Morris Brown campus based on they wanted to get black studies programs and some better food and all this. The next year, they killed a student right in the AU Center. You see, the AU Center was a free zone, whereas you hardly saw no cops come through. And when the brothers took over the building, the next year they came and they killed. What they do, they send one of their clones. They send this person in. He's already programmed to kill. They killed this student. Mainly some of them, a lot of time, are freshmen. They killed this student, and the next thing the students talking about, oh, we need better protection. So they put a precinct down up in there, and ever since then, every time the students go to park cars, they get tickets. You see what I'm saying? They get tickets, all the time getting tickets. They got one black guy, all he does is write thousands of tickets each week. And all of this because they shut down that building, and so they put the forces in there to control them. They say, you know, we're going to get rid of this element. You see, check. I just wanted to let you know what's going on here. Now, like I said, they got these so-called black gangs. You see, but the news claim they see thousands of gangs operating, but you don't see no gangs. This ain't no war zone like no Crips and no Bloods, which was also started by the doggone government based on this clone thing we're going to get into. So now, based on the hard copy, you have Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton has got this new diagnostic test that they're going to put out for students. They just announced this last week. That you got to take a test to advance to each grade. Now, you know that this test is going to be culturally biased. It's going to flunk Negroes behind right out of school. You see. So he put that up in there. As well as, you know, the computer chip that he put up in there with this new computer chip that they so-called said that they're going to edit out black TV programming. So-called sexually explicit and violent TV programs. Like the government gives a doggone about some doggone violent TV programs. That's all to doggone keep somebody down. And it's just like one of the brothers mentioned to me, because you know, every TV built since 1980 has cameras in it. And like I said in my last lecture here, it was one sister that had gone to sleep, and she was halfway asleep, because when you're halfway asleep, you're into that subconscious mode, and between being halfway asleep, which is the real world, which is the dream is the real world, and coming back into the holographic world, she heard them talking in the TV. She heard the people talking in the TV, and they say, is she up? And they say, she's about to wake up. She heard them talking in the TV. You see? All in there, so Big Brother's watching. You hear that? Check. So, now, your CEOs, this was on the news yesterday, your CEOs, now you know that this is a fascist, totalitarian government. It's just that the fascism is not an overt fascism. They control you based on the money thing. You see? But the CEOs is getting 200 to 300 times more money than the actual workers. Now that's the same old communism that they so-called talk shit about all them years. You see what I'm saying? And the only reason why they're mad at Castro, because Castro was working with the Voudoun and the actual Yoruba spirits, and he was a Yoruba practitioner, and he had a whole lot of spirits around him and some Yoruba priests blocking for him, and that's why everybody that said they was going to take Castro out since the 1960s is dead, and he's still rolling. And that's the reason why when he shot down that plane, they talked a little junk for about a week, but they both danced after a while because they know that Castro is on that same line of Toussaint L'Ouverture, that they can't do no stuff, and that's what we're going to get into today. Today, the title for this should be Voudoun Urban Guerrilla Warfare. We'll deal with that in a minute. Okay. Now, so now, look at this, what happened with the, this is what happened with the, now here it is with your whole this thing with the Oscars last week. They didn't pick no black people for the Oscars. Now here it is, and this will let you know that this is why, like they said, in any other race, if it comes to the racial matter, and they pick you to, if you in the white man's stable, and they pick you to go in and be a voice for us, and you don't do it, they take you out. You go to them Arabs, and Arabs tell you, no, we want you to go up there while you on the agreement, while you on the Oscars. We want you to go up in there, and we want you to be a voice for us. And you go up in there and talk junk, they take your butt out. So Whoopi, they wanted Whoopi to put on these black ribbons, this red ribbon. What she do? This idiot gets in front of white people and talks junk about the ribbons. Come on, I don't want to put it on my nice dress. And the spirit turned against her, and Robin Williams came out and told her to take that curtain off she had and hang it up somewhere. But she didn't want to put it. Now here it is, the black people who struggle to get you there. You see what I'm saying? You wouldn't even be there if it wasn't the black people who struggled through Hollywood in the early days to get you there. And now they tell you that they got a legitimate cause because we spent all that money in the movies. We want to get some rewards, and you get up there before crackers and talk junk in front of the white man in front of us. You see what I'm saying? And she didn't even know that the only reason why Whoopi Goldberg got a job is because the NAACP threatened to boycott the movie industry in 1981. But because black people don't have but a 3-year attention span, you forget every damn thing. And that's the problem is, you are popular culture. If I tell you what went on in 1990, most people can't tell you. That's because when a person wipes your history away from you, you're only focused in the popular culture. What feels good, smells good, look good, tastes good, and sounds good, which is the animal box. That's why the cracker can feed you stuff every damn day. So you have a 3-year, what's that, brother?
Diet in the food.
Right.
In the sugar.
All that too. That's it too with the diet. But also, they have a 3-year attention span that you can't focus on anything 10 years ago. So she didn't know the reason why all of them got movies going on now, because remember you had all the black flicks in the set. Now I don't know about you, like I always say. In the 70s, those were good flicks. It was just when you got uppity in the 80s and the 90s, you start calling them black exploitation flicks. But no, those were good flicks because to have all black people on the screen kicking right in the ass, that shit made you feel strong. You see what I'm saying? That shit made you feel strong. I recorded 2 Shaft movies the other week. I said, I got to have them. You see, every time I went out, but now all of a sudden you done got up in it. You call them black exploitation flicks. So when they phased black people out of Hollywood in 1979 and 1980, when they phased you out, the NAACP had to, well, actually it was Jesse Jackson and a group of them had to boycott the movie industry, and after that, they say, okay, we'll give away. What we'll do is we'll take one black and we'll put all whites around them in movies. So Eddie Murphy was the standard for all of the 80s up until Spike Lee produced a movie for less the amount of money than whites, and they say, okay then, now that since they produced a movie, we'll bring some back. But as you noticed, the last year, they phased most of those out. You see what I'm saying? So now we got a legitimate piece, and she's going to get up in front of the crackers and buck dance. Because that ain't Whoopi. Just like that ain't Mandela and all the rest of that. You see what I'm saying? Them are robots. Check. I still have my book at AWO that you can get on the robots that we put together from the government dossier. We're going to deal with some other things in a few. So now here she's buck dancing at the doggone Oscar. But see, if she was in any of them Arab cultures, they would have doggone put the pipe to her. Or put the tie around her. Check. Now, that leads us to this. The new thing is this. Now, first of all, let me preface this by saying this. How many people heard of the New World Order and the Illuminati? Raise your hand. Okay. The New World Order and the Illuminati, which is actually a government within a government. So the government that you have is fake. There ain't no such thing as no Democrat or Republican. And like I said too, man, this is really, victims of just basic propaganda. Listen to this. Okay, we don't, look at this. How in the devil, the white man come back and tell you Bill Clinton wins, Bush wins, how the hell you know not unless you was there counting them damn votes? All they do is they have an election and they announce who the winner is that they pick 3 and 4 years in advance. No, that ain't, it's a democratic process. How the hell do you know? Are you there counting the votes? They don't even count no votes. They already know. Because this thing is, because that's a government, and all those people are robots. That's a government, and there's a hierarchy to run that. So now, we do know about the government behind the government. But this is the key right here. All the books that was written on the New World Order, all of them have ISBN numbers on them. Which means they had to go through the Library of Congress. And they had to be approved by the Illuminati. Now, we don't deny that there is a conspiratorial government that runs the people, but what the key is, the Illuminati is also a deception as far as all this New World Order material. Because not only that, they simply tell you in the New World Order runs all forms of media. Right? Well, how in the devil, all the doggone preachers are on TV, the white people talking about a New World Order. Right? The key is they came and gave you some information on what they have been doing since 1775, which is the old world order, to keep you thinking that this stuff is going to go down in the future when it started going down 10 years ago. So they came all of a sudden in this mysterious document, the King Alpha Plan comes out on how they're going to put black people in concentration camps. You still thinking based on all this New World Order material, you looking for the future. I'm looking for the future when they're going to lock black people down. I'm looking for the next couple of years they're going to do it. You don't know that they got 3 million black people in concentration camps right now. And the object is to keep you thinking that they're doing it in the future when they have been doing it 10 years. You see what I'm saying? 10 years ago. Now, it's interesting because I told you last year that one of the sisters, she might be here, one of the sisters said they roll up at Carver Homes, and they roll up at Carver Homes, and they pick these white vans, roll up, and they pick these black men up and threw them in the vans and took them somewhere. And yet there was one guy got away and tried to get on the bus, and he didn't know the MARTA bus was a part of the government installation too, because those are the same people that brought the doggone troops to crackheads in the AU Center in 1992. You see what I'm saying? And he ended up getting caught and all this stuff. But the key is, I was saying this, and when I went to speak in New York week before last, a sister said it's interesting. She said because in 1992 I was downtown and they had all these homeless in the park, and they rolled up on them and put them in vans somewhere and took them somewhere. Which they told you in the Matrix that a train derailed in 1981, a train derailed between the coastline of Florida and Oregon that had shackles on the train. And they said, well, it couldn't just be taking these shackles, bringing them to prison systems, because the shackles was welded in the train, just like a slave boat type thing. You see? Now, it's interesting that on July 3rd of this year, we saw the FEMA automobiles carrying black passengers between the holidays, right at the holidays, between Georgia and South Carolina, taking them to concentration camps. We knew that they must have had passengers on these trucks. They had a caravan of them. And my sister, because she's spiritual, she said, I can see them on there. You got to start listening to this. Go look at the movie Thunderheart. Everybody should look at the movie, rent the movie Thunderheart. You see what I'm saying? Real key movie came out for you. Check. Now, that goes down to now. Now the white boy telling you what? They say for the Olympics, they're taking the homeless, they're going to take them out of town, and they're going to give them a one-way ticket, and they got to promise never to come back. Now, why did they say that? If this was a fucking free country, if this was a... Now, let me stop right there. For all you so-called religious-fied people, don't be alarmed because I'm cursing up here, because that's no such thing as an abomination to God. Because when this is the English language, and when the scriptures was written, the English language was not even in existence. So how in the hell can this be a curse word, which is only a cultural thing that a person say I don't like? And most of the words, if you translate them, they're not even curse words. Fuck means a English prostitute. You see what I'm saying? Damn, you know what that is. That's in the Bible. Hell, bitch means a female, so they're not curse words. Since we have adopted them as the #1 language of the ghetto as our expression, I figure I'll get over there by putting it in your head. Now, if this is a free country, how in the hell can they tell you a one-way ticket? That's against the law. But the reason why they said a one-way ticket is they're going to cart these people up and they're going to take them to concentration camps. They got thousands of concentration camps throughout all of the areas. And they're going to call them up and they're going to take them to concentration camps. But when the people start asking for their relatives, they're going to say, we said they couldn't come back. And this is the excuse they can give you after you ask for the relatives, just like they took 7,000 black men of the LA riots and took them up to Oregon in concentration camps too. So now this is the new thing, one-way ticket out of town for the Olympics for the homeless. You see what I'm saying? For the homeless. And don't be surprised if you might be on some of those trucks. You understand? The only thing that makes them think that you are homeless is you black, and because you black, and some of you claim African descent, they say you are out without a homeland, which is homeless. So don't be surprised if some of you own the trucks too. You see. What's that, brother?
Add to Arizona, they got a concentration camp in Arizona, 25 miles wide, 30 miles in diameter.
They have a concentration camp in Arizona, Oregon.
And they've taken all the military bases.
Yeah. But see, the thing about it is when I went to Indiana to speak, in Indiana last year, the first time I went, I gave them the information that I had gotten in the concentration camp. The second time I went, about 2 weeks later, we went to the concentration camp. We went to the closed down Amtrak station in Indiana. You see what I'm saying? So the key is, you thinking that this is the stuff to come. They say when the apocalypse comes, you'll be 10 years in it, but the people would be so numb to bad news until you don't know what it is. Because you're still looking for some damn movie what they show you on the Christian network, or some cracker coming out the sky with wings and all this kind of shit, when the weather's showing you what time it is every day. You see what I'm saying? And what they ain't telling you is they got a backup on the Olympics. They supposed to have been finished with everything of the Olympics in January. But the weather done came in and messed them up, and now they got streets all dug up, things falling down, and they ain't been able to fix nothing. And yet the Olympics supposed to start in June, the preliminaries. Seems to me, if you're going to start something in June, you're supposed to be in an inspection in January. That means you're supposed to have finished this shit by June last year. You see what I'm saying? And everything is done. There's no way possible. The Olympic Park ain't nothing but a mud hole right now. Now, how the hell you going to build a whole Olympic Park between now and June? That's because the weather is showing them some stuff, because that's what they had to do. They uprooted the entire housing project to build that doggone Olympic Stadium, that Olympic Village. The oldest housing project in the country, Techwood Homes and University Homes. They started all the housing projects, or the high-rise and all that, later on. You see what I'm saying? So there's a bad karma on all of that, and now they're having problems. Not saying, oh, they're going to have it, because the crackers saying, oh, you're going to have something. But it's going to be a big mess. You see? Okay, hold on a minute. Okay, look. We'll get to that. Just give me some question and answer. We'll deal with that. Now, this is the thing what's happening with the homeless, not to mention the brand new dollar bill that they got coming out, talking about some counterfeit. Like every nigga got a counterfeit machine in his damn backyard. You know that whole thing. Now, every time I get, 5 psychics told me this, but I found out what happens. Every time I give some of these predictions, what happens is, and not just me, what happens is you always got Big Brother in here listening. So when you make the people aware of what's going on, then they'll scratch it off and say, well, we're not going to do that. So, but anyway, don't be riding mortar during them Olympics. Don't be surprised, just like they already tested it in Jerusalem when they're blowing up all them buses. So they plan on doing the same thing in that subway system. Now, I got it from 3 sisters, and one brother called me and said they already saw it. One sister predicted it in Louisiana last year before she died. Brother went home to the funeral and found all these papers, and she said, bomb on subway system in Olympics, during the Olympics, on mortar. She lived in Louisiana. So what I'm trying to say is they're always monitoring. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, they go back and say, well, scratch that one. But I'm just saying, don't be too surprised if you see some terrorist act. If it's not that, it will be some terrorist act, because they're setting it up now. Aren't they checking your IDs in the airport? Have anybody asked you to carry something on the train, on the plane? You know what I'm saying? All this kind of stuff is. So don't be surprised on what's going on. Now, this is interesting because Israel is supposed to have a 3,000-year celebration in November. Now, that's got to be something spiritual, because we know there was no such thing as no white Jews back then. Right. See what I'm saying? The white Jew, because there was no such thing as no Spain for him to convert into Judaism at that particular time. So that's something very interesting. 3,000 years, they're going to have a 3,000-year celebration in November of Israel, Isis, Ra, El, Elohim, the sun, Isis, Ra, which means black people. Israel means black people. It came from Greater Ethiopia, was the Israelites. It means black people. Has nothing to do, first of all, they try to tell you that Israel is not a race. That's a lie. There was somebody there, the original Hebrews, You see what I'm saying? And if it was the ancient us, then you know it was black people, and the doggone fake Jew ain't got nothing to do with the ancient Hebrews whatsoever. That's talking about black people. And it's not really even talking about a line of black people as far as the group out of Ethiopia. They're talking about all black people because we all came from one starting point. Check. You see? And the Jews come from the ancient word shu, or issue in Yoruba, shu in Egypt, and you get a shu, a modification of shu, you get Jew. And it means shu, which means seed, or disc, which is inside of you, which means black dot. You got to have the black dot to be original Jew. Shu sinhar. The shu seed. Issue. That's the key. So you got to have that, the seed of Israel. The seed, the black dot. Check. You have to preface that. So now, let's go on. Now, this is the key. First of all, how many people have been to Africa? When you go to Africa, it's usually with a tour, or you go to some major populated city. I want to show you something about Africa. Go look at National Geographic or anything when they're showing the animals they're showing. You don't see no black people around. They be out there for days. Because, you know, they filming lions and all that. They just can't just go one day, 1 hour and get all the animals in the jungle. They